"Monster! Look at the monster!" A rotten tomato smashed against Zuri's shoulder. The red juice looked like blood on her dress. She tried to run, but her short legs couldn't move fast enough through the crowded market dust. Thud. She slammed right into something hard. It wasn't a wall. It was a person. Zuri looked up, and up, and up. Standing there was a girl so tall her head almost touched the market stall roof. It was Amina. But before Zuri could speak, a heavy shadow covered them both. Ayani, a girl as wide as 3 men, stumbled backward, pushed by a cruel group of boys. She crashed into Amina and Zuri. The 3 of them fell into a heap in the dirt. The market went silent. Then the laughter exploded. It sounded like thunder. "Look!" a man shouted, pointing a dirty finger. "The dwarf, the giraffe, and the elephant! The circus is here!" The 3 girls sat in the dust, bruised, ashamed, surrounded by hundreds of laughing faces. But as Zuri looked at the tears in Amina's eyes and the shaking hands of Ayani, she didn't feel fear anymore. She felt something dangerous, a fire in her chest. Zuri grabbed a handful of dirt. She didn't look at the crowd. She looked at the other 2 girls and whispered one word: "Stand." The story. The laughter of the crowd was painful, but the silence between the 3 girls was louder. They stood up, back to back, forming a triangle of strange shapes. Zuri was barely up to Ayani's waist. Amina looked like a reed swaying in the wind next to Ayani's solid mass. But together, they looked like a fortress. "I am Zuri," the short girl whispered, wiping the tomato juice from her arm. "I say I am too small to be loved." "I am Amina," the tall girl said, her voice trembling but clear. "They say I am a ghost, too long for any bed." "I am Ayani," the big girl said, clenching her heavy fists. "They say I take up too much air." For the first time in their lives, no one insulted the other. In that dusty market square under the hot African sun, a silent pact was made. They walked out of the market together. The crowd parted, not out of respect, but out of confusion. They had never seen the rejected ones unite. They walked until the noise of the town faded. They sat under a baobab tree near the edge of the forest. This became their ritual. Every day they met. When boys threw stones at Zuri, Ayani stood in front of her like a shield. When women mocked Ayani's size, Amina used her height to pull the sweetest fruits from high branches to share with her. They became sisters, not by blood, but by scars. One evening, as the sun turned the sky purple, a man approached them. He did not look like the men from the town. His clothes were rags, but his eyes shone like polished onyx. He carried a wooden staff carved with snakes. Most people would run, but the girls were used to being outcasts. They didn't move. "The world sees 3 mistakes," the old man rasped. His voice sounded like dry leaves. "I see 3 queens." Zuri scoffed. "Queens don't get hit with rotten fruit, old man." "Queens are made of fire, not skin," he replied. He sat on a rock. "I know your pain. I know you wish to change. There is a way, but it is not for the weak." He pointed his staff toward the forbidden hills in the north. "Beyond the black forest, there is a river that flows uphill. At its source, there is a golden cup. One drink from that cup, and your outside will match your inside. You will become the most beautiful women the world has ever seen." The girls looked at each other. Hope is a dangerous thing, but they were desperate. "But listen closely," the old man warned, leaning in. "The path has 3 guardians, 3 tests. If you fail one, you do not just stay ugly, you turn to stone." He told them the secrets to pass. He told them that strength is not muscle and height is not power. Then, as the wind blew dust across their eyes, he vanished. They left before the roosters crowed. Zuri, Amina, and Ayani took nothing but a gourd of water and the clothes on their backs. The town was asleep. They passed the houses of the people who spat on them. Zuri looked at the chief's house. Wait until we return, she thought. The journey was brutal. The sun was not their friend here. It was an enemy that tried to bake them alive. Thorny bushes tore at Amina's long legs. The mud sucked at Ayani's heavy feet. Zuri had to run 2 steps for every 1 step her friends took. After 3 days, they reached the first test, the Cave of Whispers. It was a dark tunnel through the mountain. The old man had said, "The guardian here has no body, only a voice. It will speak your darkest fears. If you scream, the cave collapses." They stepped inside. Immediately, the darkness felt heavy. "Fat cow," a voice hissed in Ayani's ear. "You will break the earth if you walk." Ayani trembled. She wanted to scream at the voice to stop. "Dwarf," the voice laughed at Zuri. "You are a child. No man wants a child." "Skeleton," it taunted Amina. They held hands. Ayani squeezed Zuri's small hand. Amina squeezed Ayani's large hand. They transferred their courage to each other. They bit their lips until they bled, but they did not make a sound. They walked through the insults, through the shame, until they saw the light on the other side. They collapsed on the grass, panting. They had passed. But they had no food left. That was when they saw the second guardian. It wasn't a monster. It was a small, starving monkey sitting on a rock. It looked at them with dying eyes. It held out a weak hand. "The test of sacrifice," Amina whispered. "The old man said we must give what we need most." They were starving. They hadn't eaten in 2 days. They had 1 piece of dried yam left. "If we give it to him, we might die before the river," Zuri said, her stomach growling. "If we don't," Ayani said softly, "then we are just like the people in our town, selfish and cruel." Ayani broke the yam. She gave it to the monkey. The monkey ate it, and suddenly it transformed into a cloud of golden butterflies that flew north, showing them the hidden path to the river. If you are enjoying the story, please like the video to help us share this message. The final test was the hardest. They stood before a wall of fire. Behind the fire, they could see the sparkle of the river. "How do we cross?" Amina cried. "The old man said nothing about fire." "He said," Zuri remembered, "that we must see the truth." Zuri walked toward the fire. She looked closely. The flames didn't give off heat. They were cold. It was an illusion. It is the fire of others' opinions. It only burns if you believe it is real. She stepped into the fire. She didn't burn. She waved to the others. "Come, it is fake, just like their insults." Amina and Ayani closed their eyes and walked through. They felt a cool breeze, not flames. They stood on the bank of the river. It was glowing blue, and there, on a pedestal of stone, was the golden cup. It was shaking. "Who drinks first?" Ayani asked. "Together," Zuri said. They passed the cup. The water tasted like honey and lightning. Pain shot through them, not a bad pain, but a stretching, cracking pain. Zuri felt her bones singing. Amina felt her skin glowing. Ayani felt her weight shifting, becoming solid power rather than burden. The light around them was so bright they had to close their eyes. When the light faded, they looked at their reflections in the water. They screamed, not in fear, but in joy. Zuri was still petite, but her skin shone like polished copper, her hair cascaded like a dark waterfall, and her eyes held the mystery of the stars. She was perfectly proportioned, a pocket Venus. Amina was still tall, but she was statuesque, with curves in the right places, looking like a warrior goddess. Ayani was still big, but she was no longer fat. She was thick, strong, and voluptuous, with skin like smooth ebony and a face that could stop a war.
Behind them, 3 white horses with golden saddles appeared. On the saddles were bags of gold and silk. They were no longer outcasts. They were royalty. The return to the town was legendary. The sun was high when 3 majestic women rode into the market square on white horses. The ground shook with the hoofs. The people stopped selling. The bullies stopped talking. "Who are they?" someone whispered. "Are they spirits?" The king's son, Prince Obina, was in the market that day. He dropped his sword when he saw them. He approached Ayani first. "My lady," he stammered, "I have never seen beauty like yours." Ayani looked down at him. She recognized him. He had once laughed when she fell in the mud. "Look closer, Prince," she said. Then the town butcher, a man who used to throw scraps at Zuri, knelt before her horse. "Goddess," he prayed. Zuri laughed. It was the same laugh as before, but now it sounded like music to them. "We are the dwarf, the giraffe, and the elephant," Zuri announced. Her voice carried across the silent square. "We are the things you threw away." The town gasped. People fell to their knees in fear, expecting punishment. They waited for the magic women to curse them, to burn the village, to take revenge. Zuri looked at Amina and Ayani. They nodded. "We will not hurt you," Amina said, her voice commanding respect, "because we are not like you." They used their gold to build a school. They used their influence to fix the village wells. The prince asked for their hands in marriage every day, but they made him wait until he learned kindness. The town changed, not because of the magic water, but because the 3 girls showed them that true value isn't in shape or size. Years later, the town became famous, not for its trade, but for its 3 queens who taught the world a simple lesson. The container does not matter, only the wine inside. Subscribe if you believe inner beauty is the most important power of all.